was just flipped off by a silver-haired old lady with a honk if you love Jesus sticker on the bumper of her car.
Hey, welcome back to Pagitt Radio. We're having a little party around here, as you can hear. People coming and going. Rabbis and friends from Rio. We didn't even introduce the friends from Rio.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
She was lovely.
What do you call someone from Rio? We should ask her.
A Brazilian?
Yeah, but don't you get a special Rio?
I don't know.
Like I'm
Let's go get her.
a Twin Cityan?
Brian, stop her.
Wouldn't you get a, what do you call that? So it sounds like a start of a joke. What do you call a woman from Rio? Anyway, hey, Doug Pagitt Radio, we like to have a final segment for our first hour, what we call the Cripes, the come on, and the you got to be kidding me. This is the time where we let out a public lament, where we shout out that there are things in this world that are not the way they're supposed to be, not so that we can complain, not so we can wallow in our misery, not so we can sit around and say, when, oh, when will we be saved from this world? Mm-hmm. But rather, that's when you're supposed to give the
Yes.
Yeah. This is the time where we say, we don't have to live in a world like that.
That's
we have
right.
choices to make. We have decisions. We can choose a world that's not this way. But if you don't lament, if you don't confess, if you don't shout out that things are not the way they're supposed to be, you feel like you're alone and you're the only one.
Right. And you can't make them better if you don't know what they are. You can't get to the amen without the lament.
You can't claim it unless you name it, as we like to say around here.
You've been saying that for a long time.
I've been saying that for years. I think it's going to catch on. I think I've got the ability to make that catch on. So we come up with three things. A Cripes, come on, you got to be kidding me. And the Cripes is this story about the Nike shoes. Do you know the story about the Nike shoes?
No.
Okay, so Nike has released a pair of I don't know, Galactic 220 somebody namada, and they have fluorescent soles or something. It's Nike's new shoe. Well, through social media, the word got out that they're going to be selling them at stores because Nike decided not to sell them online.
Is this the one that everybody got spammed about?
People decided not to sell.
This is the big spam thing on Facebook too. These pictures of these shoes.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
they pushed them hard.
Yeah.
They were pushing them hard. Well, people found out that, they were going to have them at this mall in Orlando and this other place in Ohio. So people started lining up the night before for hours beforehand.
It's like the 80s all over again.
Hundreds and hundreds of people showing up outside, and a riot broke out.
Of course it did.
Because they tried to take all the people and push them back across the street in an orderly fashion to come in and buy the 200 pairs of shoes. And one guy makes a beeline for the store, and it's like they threw the cattle gates open.
Oh, good.
And hundreds of people stormed this store. Now, this gets the Cripes all the way around. First of all, it's a pair of Nike shoes.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. But the way this looks in the fact that you have a religious uprising happening in Afghanistan where people are yelling and shouting and screaming and killing and rioting over the burning of the Quran, there are people for whom they're saying like, what? Okay, I get your religion, but really?
That's a bit much. Yeah.
That's a bit much. How about the people rioting in order to get? It's almost like this would be the religion of.
It's true because that is like
culture.
That's the most sacred thing you can think of sometimes is your shoes, right? Like this. There are people for whom that status is the most sacred thing.
Here's how the story reads in the newspaper. Witnesses told the newspaper that the crowd was asked to wait across the street when the mall closed at 9 p.m. But one person made a mad dash toward the Foot Locker where the shoes were going on sale, and hundreds of people followed. I saw hundreds of people running towards me. I thought I was going to get trampled, said Amanda Charles, 20, who was among a half dozen friends who just drove by to see if the Nikes were still for sale.
Grief.
Can you believe that?
Or how many people were sent to the hospital?
Witnesses said that more deputies quickly arrived, decked out in riot gear and fortified by still more deputies on horseback, on motorcycles, and in patrol cars, and a helicopter with a spotlight hovered overhead. We were afraid of the cops and the horses, said someone in the crowd.
What is wrong with us?
Here's what how in Orlando did they mobilize at 9 o'clock at night helicopters?
Don't you think they were ready for this?
This is what I'm getting. Is somehow the Orlando police must have known.
Don't you remember back in the 80s when the new Air Jordans would come out? It was like this. Like this hasn't happened for a long time, this kind of tennis shoe riot. But it used to be the big thing. Remember those days?
Isn't that something like, I don't know what it takes.
I'm sure they were ready. It's like how our snowplows are ready to go.
To put sheriff's deputies in place. Now, what I find interesting about this is that you'll have moms going out shopping on Black Friday, and the police don't come together for riot. But you get a bunch of people in an urban mall who are looking for the Nikes couple hundred of those people, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the
then
moms
you got to
bring their
get
own pepper spray.
Then you got to get the riot gear out. Yeah, that's right. So I think there's a whole racial deal going on. So the Cripes goes out to this whole Nike riot over the shoes thing.
Well,
just ridiculous.
And Nike, you think they would have learned their lesson a long time ago,
totally.
too.
Yeah,
you know
like really you're going to put a couple hundred pairs of these shoes in all the stores. All right, come on. I'm not going to.
Plus, you're going to be able to buy them on eBay in 3 weeks.
For $2,400.
For $2,400, yeah.
Right now, they're $2,400 on eBay. Okay, so I'm going to join in empathy with Mitt Romney, who I'm sure had to let out a come on this week. I'm not very empathetic toward Mitt Romney very often because, the man, Mitt Romney had a little get together over in Detroit.
Oh,
and he wanted to
tell the people. Went well for him.
He wanted to tell the people, hey, people, I'd like you to vote for me.
Sure.
So
he's a Michigan boy. Home state.
He likes the trees. They're just the right height. Did you see that? Did you see that thing? Oh, I love Michigan. He says, I love Michigan. The trees, they're just the right height, and the lakes, they have water in them.
This is the height I want.
And he literally said, the cars. I love the cars. Okay, so poor Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
Is going to have a get together.
Right.
1,200 people show up.
What could go wrong? That's a great crowd.
They think 1,200 tickets have been sold. So where do they put it? Inside of a 65,000-person football arena. So there's 1,200 people sitting in the midfield of the baseball inside of this, and all the reporters are tweeting out pictures. So Romney must have walked out there and just said, "Oh, come on." I mean, this is unbelievable.
There's nothing between 70 seats and 65,000 seats.
So then right. Like all of Detroit, you couldn't come up with a 1,200-person room.
Not a church somewhere with room.
Not like a big theater in the middle of the day on a Thursday where you could maybe put some people.
Nothing.
You have to put it in a 65,000-seat arena, so it looks like it's dead empty. The guy had to be out of his mind. He had to be thinking. So a lot of us have been thrown in situations like that. So to poor Mitt,
I have. I often get thrown into the big stadium when I'm really just trying to talk to about 1,200 people.
Where other people make a decision where it just makes you look like a total loser. Because then people are starting to tweet pictures of Obama at the same point in the election,
where there's people lined up around the block to get into the Civic Center.
20,000 people that wanted to see him, and poor Mitt Romney has 1,200. And you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. It's going out to the Pope. Now, I don't want to get all Billy Jack about this thing. The Pope. I don't want to get all Billy Jack about this thing. But I try. I really try. I don't like picking on the Pope. Mm-hmm. He's a kindly old fellow.
Sure.
I respect his position. I respect it. But I try. But I'm telling you, he now is out with this statement that he gave to doctors who work on infertility and asked them to stop helping couples get pregnant. Stop it, if you don't mind, he said. Because matrimony constitutes the only place worthy of the call to existence of a new human being. So don't be helping people who aren't married have babies. And
can they help people who are married have babies?
Well, that's the problem. He says the human and Christian dignity of procreation, in fact, doesn't consist in a product, but it's linked to the conjugal act and expression of love of the spouses and their union, not only biological, but also spiritual.
Now, this isn't new, right? I mean, this new for this Pope, maybe, but that's sort of been
But just